さあどうぞ空飛ぶ絨毯でございます。 ゴーシ
キキ、助けてくれ。
ボーイメイダン、みんな聞いてくれ。俺は今日まで10レンジャーの真のリーダーになり得なかった。
By the power of Grayskull,
伝説の戦士たちよ、10レンジャーよ、究極大獣人、お前たちに真実を告げる時が来た。我々は7体にして1体なり。
Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us.
Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger!
What's up, everyone? I'm the Kaiju no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network. And can you believe it has been 10 years since I reviewed Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger when Shout Studios had first put it out on DVD? I have learned a lot since then, and that review taught me of how not to review a TV series. Therefore, I felt it was fitting to re-review it. Jetman was a massive evolution for the Super Sentai franchise, as it was the first series where the heroes truly became characters. Before then, most of the heroes were usually just a one-dimensional piece of cardboard whose sole purpose was to protect the innocent from the villains. Jetman turned them into living, breathing people as they all had their issues. Not every member was a team player for the first 2/3 of the series, making it the first team to truly be dysfunctional. It worked, ultimately digging Sentai out of the ratings slump it had been in for the last several years. Thus, it was time to keep this trend up. Toei hired writer Noboru Sugimura to tackle the next Sentai series after having a 3-year run on Metal Heroes. This delighted Sugimura as it gave him the chance to move away from crime dramas and focus on elements based on his favorite type of video games, RPGs. He immediately felt having a Sentai show with fantasy elements similar to Dragon Quest would become a huge hit, as it had never been done before. It was then decided that Dinosaurs would be a central focus, and names bounced around including Saruzman until Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger was chosen. They also planned to have the team be compiled of 3 males and 2 females before sitting on 4 men and 1 woman. Furthermore, the original idea was going to be a red T-Rex, green Triceratops, black Brachiosaurus, a yellow Stegosaurus, and blue Pteranodon. For some reason, the Brachiosaurus and Stegosaurus were replaced with a mammoth and saber-toothed tiger, despite them not actually being dinosaurs. I mean, technically a Pteranodon isn't a dinosaur either, but semantics. Unfortunately, Zyuranger was not as successful as Jetman, as older viewers were turned off by its fantasy elements and child of the week plots, while it was a hit amongst younger children and mothers. On the other hand, toy sales reached over 9 billion yen, the highest the franchise had ever experienced at that point in time. And of course, Zyuranger would go on to kickstart the Power Rangers franchise in America. Zyuranger was a highly ambitious series in a similar vein to King Ohger in recent times. Was it as successful? Watch to find out. The Heroes! Zyuranger was the first series to feature heroes who were not from modern-day Japan. Instead, they are warriors from 170 million years ago. Apparently, back then humans coexisted with dinosaurs and other prehistoric mammals as they all lived in harmony until an evil entity known as Great Satan tried to purge the land of goodness. A war broke that annihilated most of the dinosaurs before the evil was sealed away. However, due to the possibility that this evil could return, a select few individuals were chosen to go into hibernation until they were needed to defend the world once more from this terror. And thus, in 1992, the evil witch Bandora and her minions are freed from their prison to begin the battle once again, requiring an ancient wizard named Barza to awaken the sleeping combatants. First up is Princess May of the Lithia tribe. The Lithia tribe specialize in archery, thus a bow and arrow are Mei's weapon of choice. Mei is the female character of the team, which is sadly her biggest defining trait. It doesn't help that actress Reiko Chiba was not exactly the strongest actress Sentai had had up to that point, so she doesn't come across as strong as her predecessors. Nevertheless, I do like the development Mei receives even if it isn't exactly the strongest. She is a very kind individual who will put others above her own safety. There is an episode that revolves around a monster who transforms flowers into little demon spawn. It turns out the monster originated from her kingdom long ago, as the queen at the time sacrificed herself to stop the creature.
ユイはリシアの国の花リシアムを身につけて横たわった。ガズラーの牙がユイの心臓を貫いた時、ガズラーの姿は消え、平和が戻ったという。
Mei follows a similar tactic of putting her life on the line to foil the foul beast, but uses her skill as an archer to prevent her own demise in the process. Next is the Knight of the Dime tribe, Boy. Boy is the youngest member of the team who loves to learn anything he can about the world they live in. There's an episode where he befriends a family who value their meals together, which he found to be quite fascinating.
この子を遊園地や旅行になかなか連れて行けなくて、だからせめて食事は欠かさず一緒にしようってな。
なるほど。食べるのが家族の絆ってわけか。
He also studies techniques to be a ninja and becomes the bodyguard to a dojo for a short time. This plotline is actually quite fitting given actor Takumi Hashimoto was also one of the leads in Jiraiya. Boy wields a pair of daggers in his fight against Bandora's minions. Boy loves to cook despite being terrible at it, and he most certainly hates carrots.
人参ダメ。俺人参見ると目が回る。そんなこと言ってる場合じゃないです。
However, if he must consume one to save the day, he has no qualms about doing such, an act that wins him over with the deceitful gnome.
お前の勇気と子供を助けたい気持ちにわしは心を打た。
The Knight of the Atofe tribe is Dan.
乗り切られんじゃダン。
Dan is the more immature of the group at the start of the series. He would rather go shopping and goof off than fight.
おお、かわいい俺のタイムだね。ね待ってね。みんなも心配してるから帰ろうよ。大丈夫だって。バンドーラだったら出花くじかれてしばらくは出てこないし、ガセぐらい楽しませてもらわなきゃな。
On the other hand, he was the first one to request being able to take on a part-time job so he could afford a computer he wanted, as he is enamored by technology. It was a noteworthy cause until he learned the hardships of working while trying to save the world at the same time. He is quite impulsive and uses his lance to jump into danger head first, as we saw when his employer's son had been attacked by the villains. I do like how he utilizes the discipline he learned by working a job at the end of the series to help him in their quest. Dan is played by Hideki Fujiwara, who was featured in an episode of Jetman.
怖さに負けちゃダメだ。もう一度勇気を出してみるんだ。ほんの少しの勇気の力が怖がる心に勝つことができる。
The fourth member of the team is my favorite of the quintet, and that is Sharma Tribe Knight Goshi.
マンモスレンジャー
Goshi is the most mature of the Zyurangers, which is in part to him losing his older sister during Bandora's attack 170 million years ago.
姉は俺の代わりに死んでいったんだ。
She looked over him when he was a child, teaching him how to fight. Her death ensured Goshi would always keep a clear and serious mindset at all times. He is the team's second in command and wields a powerful axe that is also a gun. Being that he lost his sister, he will always help siblings who are in need. There is one funny tidbit you may notice if you look closely at the out-of-suit action Goshi partakes in, specifically in his fight with a night monster. His Seiji Uman's stunt double does not have the same hairstyle he does, so you can tell when he is not the one fighting. Goshi also has a standout moment late in the series where he has to set the team's leader, Geki, straight.
ためらうな。切るんだ。お前のその手で早く。
Speaking of whom, Geki is the prince of the Yamato tribe. Geki lost his family in Bandora's original attack, agreeing to become a Zyuranger in order to prevent others from having to suffer the same tragedy he did.
あの戦いで俺は王である父も母も失った。そして10歳になる妹も。
He is a strong-willed individual who tries to assess a situation before he acts on it. He does whatever he can to help those in need while being very serious. His weapon of choice is a sword that he uses to slash through his enemies. A third into the series, it is revealed that he was actually adopted by the king and queen of the Yamato tribe as they were unable to have a child of their own, and that he has an older brother named Barai. Barai is the first ever permanent Sixth Ranger to be seen in a Sentai series. When he is first introduced, Barai is filled with utter disdain for his brother as he believes Geki to be as evil as his adopted father was. During their childhood, their father tried to take the Yamato tribe for himself and was executed for it. Barai fled the kingdom vowing vengeance, and he spent his formative years training for the moment when he would be able to enact on the plot of revenge. He too went into hibernation until he was released by a young fairy child and immediately wiped the floor with the Zyurangers. He briefly joined up with Bandora before betraying her. Shortly after his awakening, he finds himself transported to a mysterious room of emptiness where he is informed by the fate of Greek mythology Clotho that he only has 30 hours to live, and every second he spends outside that room cuts away his lifespan.
ここは時間が止まった世界だから、ここにいる限りお兄ちゃんは年を取らない。でも一歩外へ出ればお兄ちゃんの命はあと30時間とちょっとしかないわ。
Of course Clotho has to look like a creepy ghost child.
Lonely, I'm Mr. Lonely, I have nobody.
You know, being stuck in that room probably wouldn't be so bad if you had like some books or a TV, something to pass the time. Oh. A lot of Geki's character development revolves around Barai, especially when he learns of Barai's impending doom. That act sees Geki starting to question every decision which Bandora takes advantage of.
ローラ・ナルシスは全てのものに命を与える魔力があるのよ。もちろんお前の愛する兄ブライにだって。
Both Yuta Mochizuki and Shiro Izumi do a fine job of bringing this situation to life. I will say the way Izumi speaks as Barai makes me think of William Shatner with how he likes to pause after every few words.
兄さん、移行劇。今こそ兄弟が力を合わせて地球を守るんだ。どうやら洞窟の中へ落ちたらしい。とにかく出口を探そう。さあ。
Mochizuki also appeared in both Jetman and Kamen Rider J, while Izumi was previously Change Pegasus and Changeman. Interestingly, Toei had originally considered casting Fujiwara as Geki before giving the role to Mochizuki.
決まってるだろう。茨の館を探してリゲちゃんと赤ちゃんを助け出すんだ。待ってくれ。ここは俺たちに任せて。兄さんは時の停止した部屋に戻ってくれ。
Barai is often attributed to Zyuranger's success and why the show saw an increase in ratings after his arrival. He added a new dynamic to the franchise, something that was sorely needed. He would often only show up in dire situations, as usually when he came in, he would kick ass and leave given his time limit. It meant the show was exciting because you wouldn't know if Barai was going to appear in that episode or not to help out. Furthermore, there is also the suspense revolving around Barai's dilemma, as there had never been a hero character that was so close to death's door before. All of these enhanced the show. The Rangers transform using an item they attach to their belt called the Dino Buckler. The powers come from a coin that rests in the center of the buckler. In addition to their individual weapons, the main 5 have a weapon called the Ranger Stick that can turn into a gun. There's also a blade that comes out of its tip to make the Ranger's sword. Early into the second half of the series, they acquire slingshot-like weapons that attach to the Ranger guns to boost their firepower. Their individual weapons can combine to form the Howling Cannon, which is sometimes able to take monsters out of action before they grow big.
And my axe.
Barai has 2 weapons, the first of which is given to him by Bandora called the Hell-Freed Sword. It's an antithesis to Geki's sword. His other is the Jusoken, which is used to summon the guardian beast Dragon Caesar. The suits the Rangers don are quite striking, as the colors with the diamond shapes that are between the dinosaur teeth complement them quite well. I like how the bodies have the colors reversed from the gloves and boots. Dragon Ranger includes a goated shield that makes him stand out, while his gloves and boots have more triangular shapes on them. Geki also gets to wear the shield as an upgrade form.
I'm the Ranger!
Finally, the helmets represent what motif each Ranger is, and they are just superb with how detailed they are. As mentioned earlier, the Zyurangers are assisted by a wizard named Barza, played by Gavan's Jun Tatara.
メイの持つプテラアローは西ア族の伝説の英雄と言われる西アンテンスの力を受け継いだ弓なのじゃ。
Barza lost his spells in the battle against Bandora and is only able to recall a fraction of them.
おっと忘れたのかい。お前は私に負けて呪文を封じ込まれたんだよ。
He acts as their mentor figure, often looking through ancient texts to find any information that may help the team defeat Bandora in the here and now. To keep his identity secret and to adapt to the changing times, he had an apartment complex built on top of the Zyuranger temple that he runs as its manager. The villains! The villains are a hodgepodge of Oz rejects who come to Bandora for some sort of favor in exchange for their services. Machiko Soga is no stranger to playing the main villain in a Toku series, but Bandora may be her finest performance ever. A tragedy occurred in Bandora's past that saw her selling her soul for power, which she used to wipe out the dinosaurs in ancient times.
待っていたよ大サタン。私はお前に魂を売り史上最大の魔女になった。
She hates children most of all and tries to do as much harm to them as she possibly can. Her minions often ask her about this obsession, to which she refuses to give a straight answer.
私は子供が大嫌いなんだよ。泣くのが見たい。叫ぶのを聞きたい。
でもどうしてそんなに子供は嫌いなのかな。何か深いわけでも。
うるさい。
Bandora is so maniacal in machinations that she will even break out into a song to talk about her disdain of humans.
地球を汚しているのはバカな人類123
Soga has so much fun with her role that I feel Sugimura just let her really break loose compared to Queen Hedorian in Denjimon and Sun Vulcan and Queen Pandora in Spielban.
デグノボの頭をドリルでグリグリ穴を開けておやり。
I often wonder if Bandora was actually supposed to be Pandora, as Zyuranger starts off with a pair of astronauts opening up a box-like object, unleashing Bandora and her minions from their prison, but because they had already called her Pandora in Spielban, they wanted to avoid using the same name. Either way, Bandora is one of the best villain leaders in the entire franchise.
お前たちが助けてくれたのは礼を言うわ。
She's right up there with the likes of Rades, Walt Spinder, Don Donero, Zed, Bacchus Wrath, and Dr. Bias.
火を落とせ。お前は私に魂を売った。私を裏切った罰よ。
ご勘弁を。お許しくだ
Bandora's servants include the griffin-based Grifferzor, the vampiric Tatopot, a chunky little goblin named Bookbok, and the leprechaun Puripurikan. The cast is quite diverse and every member gets a moment or two to shine along with having their character developed. About a third in the show, Grifferzor's wife Lami joins up with Bandora's crew in exchange for giving him a voice as he was not able to speak before.
喋れるようにしていただき、誠に光栄に存じます。この上は今まで以上に忠誠を誓います。
Some might wonder how a human woman ended up with a beast man, until it is revealed through Growing Big that Lami herself is actually a scorpion creature in the guise of a human. Lami loves rock and roll. She also loves her husband to death, but was taken aback by the first words he ever spoke to her.
パンドーラ様、この人最初にこう言ったんですよ。戦に女は不要だ。家へ帰って洗濯でもしてろって。
Yeah, that's not sexist. I do love Bandora's retort to this.
バカバカ。言っとくけど私も女だよ。女をバカにしたら承知しないよ。
Grifferzor is voiced by Kan Tokumaru, who is best known for being the voices of Bishamon and Anarcharis in the Darkstalkers franchise and Pegasus in Tekkaman Blade. Amy Kawai was Lami, who was previously seen as Marsha in Jiban and played the yokai Amakiri and Kaku Ranger.
月は泥棒の始まりよ。
Bookpot and Tatopot are often paired up together as they feel they are the rejects of the crew. Bookback desires a brain while Tatopot wants to be a fully fledged vampire with strong wings. They will often work together in concocting a scheme of their own, or at least thinking they are being sneaky in one episode where Bandora pretends to be asleep while she lets them cook. Bookbok often thinks with his stomach, which is probably why he wants a brain. Tatopot is played by Kaoru Shinoda, who was Baiko and his creator and Windspectre, along with being Okalampa and Maskman.
吸血鬼騒ぎの張本人はお前だったんだな。
そうともさ、今頃気づいても遅いわ。
Takeshi Watabe is Bookbok and has done the likes of God Neros and Metalder, Emperor Anton and Dynaman, Ligorn and Turbo Ranger, and Kyodai and Changeman. He was also the Creation King in Kamen Rider Black, and those aren't even including his plethora of anime roles with the likes of Yu Yu Hakusho, Tekkaman Blade, Noir, Master of Moskitan, Gundam, Kaleidostar, and Sailor Moon. Puripurikan is Bandora's sculptor and uses a giant-sized easy-bake oven to turn his works into living, breathing monsters. He wants to be the universe's greatest artist, but what I love most about him is he has no qualms about telling Bandora off when he is frustrated, which Yutaka Oyama does wonderfully with.
リプリカ、新しい道路モンスターは、
見ればわかるじゃろ。あと少しで出来上がるところじゃ、プリプリ。
さあさあ、早く早く。
うるさいな、もうプリプリ。今やるところじゃい。あんなのは出来損ないの極物じゃ。わしの芸術と一緒にしないでほしいわい。
One of the coolest aspects to Zyuranger comes in the form of its monsters of the week, which are typically based on some sort of mythological beast or legend. They are all nicknamed Dora monsters because they are Bandora's copies of the original being, and many of them live up to their namesake. Dora Sphinx, my personal favorite, spouts riddles his victims must solve or be whisked away by his wings.
コンビが来て1枚加えていった。あと何枚？
誰だお前は。
おや、子供だと思ったら違うようだね。クロウ。出来損ない野郎、飛んでけ！
Dora Circe is based on the pig the goddess Circe is transformed into in the Odyssey. Dora Minotaur is sent to attack the Zyurangers on an island labyrinth that is full of invisible walls. There's a knight who wields the sword Durando, which belongs to a paladin of King Charlemagne. Another goblin who eats the souls of children for breakfast. The serpent guardian of the golden apples in Greece is guardian of Hesperidas. A chimera. One taking out a journey to the west. Among many others. Another favorite is Dora Frankie, who is based on Frankenstein's monster who also becomes a zombie. And then a demon. When they are near death, Pandora will use her staff to summon the powers of hell to grow her monsters in the hopes that they will defeat the Rangers that way. The grunts of Pandora's gang are called golems. Golems are often shown to be little clay creatures that grow human-sized. There's a few variants of the golems, as the commanders to a platoon are more rigid in nature while the soldiers have smooth bodies. Their hands can alter between fingers, a blade, and a mace. Eventually, there are power-up versions that will duplicate when they are destroyed if it is with weaker weapons. Pandora's head boss, Great Satan, does make a few appearances, but he doesn't do much beyond some groaning.
I am the mastermind, and here I am the law.
I do like how he has battle damage in his second appearance. Poor Pandora just can't catch a break though, because after a while, she has had enough of losing to the Zyurangers and discovers better material on the earth that will make her monsters and golems stronger. So then the Zyurangers have to go and rain on her parade by acquiring the Thunder Slingers to make themselves more powerful. It really does play on that video game aspect, as every time the villains become stronger, the heroes have to do so to counter it. Finally, at the end of the series, Great Satan brings with him a ferocious little devil named Kai. Kai's kind of interesting and quite a badass. The Mecha! Zyuranger marks the first time the mecha are actually sentient gods rather than robots. This added a new layer to the mech battles as the monsters were no longer fighting just ordinary machines, rather those who provided the Zyurangers with their powers. As such, it is kind of weird for the Zyurangers to pilot them, though the reasoning behind this is it allows humans to have control over their own destinies rather than letting the gods do it for them. Of course, that doesn't stop the gods from being dicks, as they punished followers by giving them monkey tails for making a mistake in the past.
でもそこにいるコカトリスに騙され食べちゃいけない神様の果物を食べてしまったんだ。神様は怒って僕たちを猿にしてダロス島に落とした。
And ordered Geki to kill Burai.
悪は元から断ち切らねばならない。お前もブライにとどめを刺すのだ。
大獣人。
The first of the three gods is Daijujin, who is a being separating the 5 individual guardian beasts that is the basis for each Zyuranger's motif. Tyrannosaurus is strong enough to fight a battle on his own, while the mammoth, Triceratops, Pteranodon, and saber-toothed tiger act more like auxiliary machines to assist Tyrannosaurus. When they merge together, they first form a tank-like mode called Dino Tanker. And then finally they form Daijujin. From a design standpoint, Daijujin is in line with the boxy-looking Sentai mechs that came before. He uses a sword most of the time to finish off the Oro monsters. But he can utilize the mammoth head for a shield. And the cannons on his back can be used for when he has fallen and needs a moment of respite. Burai's guardian beast, Dragon Caesar, fits the fantasy narrative the most given he is designed to be a dragon-wielding knight's armor. Dragon Caesar is by far a complete evolution of the mechs audiences were used to seeing in Sentai back then. His tail has a drill tip to it that can spin around to cut enemies or objects. He can shoot missiles from his fingertips as if he were Mechagodzilla. Finally, he can combine with Jew Mammoth, Tiger, and Trichera to form Gorujin. You can kinda say Gorujin is a drill instructor. He can also split open to merge with Daijujin. The final guardian beast is King Brachion. His role is to serve as an incubator for dinosaur eggs along with being the final piece to form Ultimate Daijujin. I do love the chariot motif he creates. The mecha themselves are often more involved in the overall story compared to what was done before, which was Sugimura's purpose for bringing them to life. The effects and music. Zyuranger has quite the accomplishments in the effects work while providing a solid soundtrack. Zyuranger must have taken a heavy influence from the Space Sheriff trilogy as it tries to play with overlaid backgrounds and superimposed scenes a lot. The fight scenes are well choreographed, and there are some great moments of camera work. I do ponder what the fight scenes would have been like if we had more sequences like this, though. On the downside, there are pieces that aren't as effective as I think the production team was hoping for, such as the dinosaur ones being a major detractor. They look like they belong in a Weird Al music video over a Sentai show.
Huge Tyrannosaurus ate our lawyer. Well, I suppose that
I will say I was kind of disappointed that the team would drive motorcycles, and yet we never got any bike stunt sequences out of them. Specifically from Geki, since he didn't have a sidecar attached to his bike. Akihiko Yoshida provides Zyuranger with a very whimsical score that is as pleasing to the ears as it is epic in scale.
いい出来じゃないか。さあ、こいし。
わかりましたよ。わかりました。いつもこうなんだ。
Yoshida had previously worked on Turbo Ranger. In fact, a couple of Turbo Ranger's tracks were carried over into this series. Adding to the Turbo Ranger connection is the fact that the self-titled opening theme is also sung by Kenta Sato, who was both Red Turbo and the singer for the Turbo Ranger themes. Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger is a catchy theme song that will get stuck in your head. Opposite that is the ending theme, Boken Shite Rapapia. I can't say I am all that thrilled by Pythagoras' performance here. There is nothing wrong with his vocals, it's just the song itself is less than thrilling. It also makes me think of some really bad rendition of a mambo song, and I'm not a mambo song fan to begin with. Finally, I never realized before that the closing song is the only time we see Tatopop with his wings spread out. The episodes! Zyuranger has a lot of exciting episodes, but several of them can get bogged down by the Child of the Week plot. While Sentai was always a show aimed for children, it didn't always focus on a new child being endangered every week. Zyuranger did, and it has taken a lot of flack for it, which is kind of disappointing considering how much of a revolutionary step the series was for the franchise. Before Jetman, the Ranger team was formed usually in the first episode, and they all got along right from the start except for the occasional disagreement between members episode. Jetman had its Black Ranger refusing to be a team player for half of the show, but the rest of the team were solid. For Zyuranger, the first 10 episodes are spent team building, slowly introducing the mecha, having them obtain their main weapons, and introducing one of the show's main plot points. While they may have all agreed to defend the planet, the Rangers had never really worked together before. Thus, their personalities clash with each other until they finally realize they must act as a team if they want to succeed and select Geki to be their leader. The Guardian Beast cannot merge into Daijujin until the Rangers acquire special crystals that allow them to do such in episode 6.
Dino Crystal!
The weapons they brought with them from their original time period have gone sour over time and shatter in the midst of battle, requiring them to search out new weapons in the 3rd and 4th episodes. The 9th and 10th episodes bring in a quest to retrieve dinosaur eggs, which becomes a pivotal plot for the remainder of the series because if the babies within the eggs die, so do the gods. Which also means the Zyurangers lose their ability to transform.
そしてご部族の長老が集まり、恐竜の卵オスメス一対を遠く海へ流すことに決めたのじゃ。
よし、子供と交換よ。それ。
All of this was something entirely new for Sentai because there had never been this much story development in this small amount of episodes before. However, it is the Children of the Week plots that many seem to focus on and seem to hate the most. I get it, as most of the child actors Toei hired for the show were not exactly the greatest. Not every child actor is going to be as stellar as Hashimoto was, or even Konomi Mashita in Jiban. Still, Bandora focusing her attacks on children is part of her character arc and one that comes full circle by the end of the series. And to be fair, it is a kid's show after all, and one that can have really dark moments to it, like the same child being kidnapped twice in the same manner and never being shown returning home safe the second time, making you ponder if she did or not. So having child characters can alleviate some of the darker elements for the younger viewer. Zyuranger is full of serious drama like this.
Gosh!
Boy!
でも忘れちゃダメ。外へ出ればお兄ちゃんに残された時間はどんどん減っていくんだから分かったわね。
Which can be balanced with silly antics as found here.
あなたたち何者なの？
俺はお美しい奥様、お嬢様、突然の訪問お許しください。で、ここにおわしますは我らが主人。
エミコ、誰が来たみたい。見てきて。
今誰かここに来なかったか。
Now that's comedy.
Hell, Sugimura even struggled with writing some of the episodes, with one revolving around a genie being tough to write due to its content. According to producer Shinichiro Shirakawa, Sugimura was in a meeting where there was talk about the genie being evil, to which Sugimura gasped in horror. He retorted to them something along the lines of, "The genie is a dream for children. Are we going to make him the villain and destroy children's dreams? Is that the attitude of someone who makes a children's program?" Apparently, the room grew quiet as no one on the team had even considered that fact. Thus, Sugimura had to make the episode work without the genie actually dying.
よし、じゃあね、車出してかっこいいスポーツカー。
かしこまりました。マリマリホーン、マリマリホーン。
And then there is Barai's entire first arc, which completely changed the way the rest of the series played out. I can't say there's an episode I outright hate, but the one I often find myself dreading on repeated viewings is episode 16, The Great Sneeze Plot. This one features a plant monster who spreads spores around that can put people into sneezing fits. He uses a disgruntled soccer player to act as his deliverer for the disease, to which Boy tries to stop him. I do like how this monster, who is aptly named Dora Endos, Endos being the Greek word for within, has a backup plan as if he is blown up by the Zyurangers, his spores will traverse the entire planet by wind. But overall, I just don't find this episode remotely thrilling. Boy is a complete bore in it, and the child suddenly acts like he had no idea what exactly was going on. Also, the plastic wrap used for Endo's being encased in ice is not exactly one of the show's most effective moments. There are so many good episodes to be had that choosing a favorite should be tough. There is the Dragon Ranger arc. There are the 2 episodes with Dora Sphinx.
蜂がブンブン飛んできた。どっちから方向言うのか？東とか西とか。西だよ、西。西が8で、8。ピンポンピンポン。
The episode with Mei and Lamy playing dress up is quite fun. There's also an interesting episode right before the final 4-parter that sees the Rangers being framed by Bandora, with society turning on the Zyurangers without warning.
今日午前、都内各地でジューレンジャーによる無差別な破壊と殺戮が繰り広げられました。
彼らは終わりのない戦いに疲れ、正義を捨てたと我々に通告してきました。
人間ども、ジューレンジャーが悪者になったと信じ込む。
Say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
For many years, I thought this episode would have made more sense being at the beginning of the series rather than the end, because by this point, the Zyurangers have established themselves as heroes. However, recent times have shown me how fickle people are.
与えられたものが本物かどうかなんて、大概の人にとっちゃ関係ねえ。
It doesn't matter how favorable a celebrity or hero has been seen in the public, the moment their image is tainted, even if it is through a lie, the vast majority will turn on them as if they themselves were personally attacked by them.
みんなこっちだ!
It's a sad reality we live in that no one is willing to give others the benefit of the doubt. A simple lie can destroy a person's career in an instant, proof or no proof, lie or no lie. Therefore, this episode struck a chord because it felt very realistic.
散々正義の味方ずらして、今さら手のひら返すなんてひどすぎるわ。そうよそうよ。
違う、誤解だ。
じゃあテレビに映ってたのは誰だっていうのよ。あんたたちが誰だっていうの。
Regardless, and moving away from that heavy subject, my favorite episode has always been Be Careful of Shaved Ice. The Zyurangers are spending a quiet moment playing tennis and get some flavored ice to indulge. Unfortunately, Tatopat taints the dessert with a potion that will turn the Zyurangers psycho, to which Dan and Mei fall victim to. Dan and Mei go out on their own little quest to delinquency while the remaining 3 Zyurangers contend with a monster who wants to play Hungry Hungry Froggies. It's a thrilling episode that has some outstanding cinematic moments from Mei and Dan's antics. Hey, wait. Did they just murder a whole bunch of people? It's one of the few where Barza has something to do in the plot as well.
遠い遠いその昔、5人の魔法使いがおりました。
見たか、マンドラコアは引き抜かれる時に悲鳴を上げる。それを聞いた者は一瞬のうちに地獄へ行くのじゃ。
I like the little plot twist of what he has to do to return the 2 back to normal. Mei has to be strategic in her method to defeat the monsters, given she fights it on her own. Not Not to mention it's the only time a monster goes down with her arrow rather than the howling cannon, and there is no mech battle. Are you going to acknowledge that you murdered a whole bunch of people while you were under the influence?
No? Okay, well, funny enough, this is the only episode in the series written by Inoue, which is probably why it's so badass. The DVD! Shout Studios has provided a pretty good DVD that matches the Japanese release in video quality, just with subtitles added. Here's the cover. Note, it says Zyuranger the Complete Series instead of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger the Complete Series, like they would do moving forward with Zyuranger. The spine, the backside, 10 discs in trays, since that's how many DVDs there were in Japan. And then there are episode titles on the backside with production photos. Video and audio are on par with Toei's own DVD, even down to the subpar audio from episode 32, which sounds a bit hollow.
根を張ったドーラナリシスの本体は順調に育ってる。
見つけたぞ。これがドーラモンスターの本体だ。俺にやらせてくれ。
Subtitles are for the most part translated correctly, though there are a multitude of mistakes, and I wish they had kept the team name Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger rather than translating it to Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger. The opening and closing songs are subbed. They do not show the song lyrics during the episode itself. This DVD set does have a bonus feature, the one and only time Shout included something, which is a Power Morphicon panel from 2014 featuring Mochizuki, his suit actor counterpart, and the suit actor for Dragon Ranger, Hiroshi Maeda and Yasuhiro Takeuchi.
遊園地のジェットコースターレール10メートルぐらいの高さから一度も飛び降りたことがない彼らと違ってそういう訓練をやったことがなかったんですがやれって言われて。で僕は監督に尋ねました。僕死んだらどうしますか。代わりを連れてくるから大丈夫だと。まだ 1,2 話しか撮ってないって撮ってる最中なんでまだ放映されてないということは死んだら映らない前に違う人になっちゃうんで俺何にも関係ないことになってしまいますね。
Outside of the show, there is an error on the episode listings. The show labeled the episode numbers on disc 7 as 31, 30, 32, 33, and 34 instead of just 31 to 35. Zyuranger is an incredibly flawed series. It was revolutionary for its time in storytelling and execution, and yet, because it was trying to do something entirely new, it made some critical errors that are hard to overlook. Therefore, I am going to give Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger a 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. The Child of the Week plots can feel overdone, and there are some hiccups in the production values that do harm the overall feel of what is a solid piece of art. Nevertheless, I highly recommend Zyuranger to any Sentai fan. Until next time, bye!
パンドーラ様、この人最初にこう言ったんですよ。戦に女は不要だ。家へ帰って洗濯でもしてろって。
Oh snap.